last year, OnePlus dominated the affordable flagship segment in India before Asus entered the market with the 5Z at a competitive price, and it turned out to be a smartphone that performed even better than the OnePlus flagship in certain aspects. A year later, Asus is back at it with updated internals, better cameras, better software experience, a mammoth battery, and some further refinements on the 6Z. With the top-end OnePlus flagship exiting the affordable category, let's see if Asus can flip over OnePlus's dominance and be the new budget flagship champ, coming up next on TechPP.com. Hey guys, this is Sumuk from TechPP, and you're watching our full review of the Asus 6Z, a smartphone which seems like a complete package along with some cool flippy trippy mechanism. But what matters more than the specs is how well does the device hold up in day-to-day usage, and if the experience that this phone provides is worth paying for. We are here to tell you exactly that, but before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's flip over to the phone now. The Asus 6Z has a typical glass sandwich design with a metallic frame, and while there are no fancy gradient color shifts that we are seeing of late, the 6Z looks premium and feels comfortable to hold in hand, albeit slightly hefty and slippery. The heft is due to the enormous 5000 mAh battery, something which was unheard of on flagship smartphones until now. Anyhow, getting back to the chassis, the glass back does attract a ton of fingerprints, but that's something which can be avoided with a case, which most of us are going to use anyhow. The fingerprint scanner is in the perfect location and does not require any finger gymnastics to reach. The Asus branding and the accent around the power button in the cyan color provides a cool look to what is otherwise a pretty generic build. The USB-C port, speaker grill, primary mic, and the headphone jack, yeah, there's still one, is set on the bottom edge. The power and volume keys are to the right, accompanied by a customizable smart key, and on the left is a triple slot which can take in 2 SIM cards and an SD card, again something that we don't generally see on flagship smartphones. Good job understanding the consumer's requirements, Asus. The earpiece up top also doubles up as a front-firing speaker to form a stereo setup, and Asus has also somehow managed to cram in a notification LED on the thin bezel, something that I personally love during my usage, but is unfortunately disappearing from most smartphones. The stereo speakers are plenty loud, probably the loudest in the segment, and if you consume a lot of media, you will surely appreciate it. Not just the speakers, but the output from the headphone jack is also sublime, and Asus is also kind enough to include high-res audio earphones within the box. Beneath the earpiece is a gorgeous 6.4-inch IPS display with Full HD Plus resolution and bare minimum bezels. The viewing experience on this display is fantastic, and while it's not an AMOLED panel, the blacks are still deep and colors pop out well. The fact that there is no notch or cutout in the display makes for an uninterrupted viewing experience. The brightness of the panel, however, could have been slightly higher in outdoor environments, but on the flip side, the screen can get really dim, which can be helpful for reading or using your phone in the dark. I know all of you are waiting for it, so let's address the elephant in the room, those cameras. While a lot of brands are opting for a pop-up mechanism to house a selfie camera, Asus has gone the unconventional route and have in place a mechanism that flips the entire rear camera module around to help you take selfies. The advantage here is twofold. One, the screen can go from edge to edge since there's no need for an additional space to put the front-facing cameras, and two, your selfies will be of equally good quality as the pictures from the rear camera since they're essentially shot from the same 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 sensor, and you also get an option to shoot wide-angle selfies to fit in more people. How good are the cameras though? On most occasions, the Asus 6Z captures good quality images with accurate colors and sharp details, but some shots lack contrast and saturation, something that can be fixed via a software update. The dynamic range is also handled well, and shadows don't appear to be too dark while highlights aren't blown out either. In darker environments too, the 6Z holds its own and managed to click good pictures, but the brightness level seems to be a little low, again something that needs to be tweaked with updates. There is also a built-in night mode which does not make a ton of difference other than increasing the exposure a bit and sharpening the image, but it's there when you want to use it. The 13 megapixel wide-angle shooter does not impress all that much, and if there's insufficient lighting, It ends up producing dull images with washed out colors, but if used well for the right situations, it does increase the field of view considerably and is pretty good with selfies in our experience as it manages the skin tones well. Since the primary shooter flips over to take selfies, the quality is actually really good and we were impressed by the included portrait mode too, which was able to blur the background with proper edge detection. Another cool feature of the camera is that you can set the module to whatever angle you want to, which can be helpful for shooting videos, or there's even a motion tracking mode that essentially moves the camera sensor to follow the subject. The Panorama Mode is also something unique on the smartphone, as you don't have to move the phone manually, but the sensor itself flips outward, slowly capturing multiple shots to stitch them together, which means you can shoot a panorama with yourself in the frame too. Quite cool. Also, if you were wondering, Google Camera is supported on the 6Z and further improves the quality of images by boosting up contrast levels, making the images look more pleasing to the eye. Here's a link on how to install the Gcam mod on your Asus 6Z, and a dedicated comparison video is also on the cards, so stay tuned for that. While pictures from the camera are great, the flip out mechanism itself doesn't feel reassuring, as at times it refuses to close completely and produces concerning noises. Also, if you shake the phone, the module tends to pop out of its cavity slightly and doesn't sit flush unless you toggle the front camera on and off from within the camera app. These are some issues we notice in everyday usage, so it's advisable to be wary of it. Moving on to performance, the 6Z, just like most 2019 flagships, sports a Snapdragon 855 chipset with either 6 or 8 GB of RAM and 64 or 128 GB of onboard storage. Unlike last year's 5Z, the 6Z has an almost stock approach to the UI, which is a welcome move given that the interface is cleaner while still retaining essential features and functionality like gestures, built-in screen recorder, twin apps, etc. As you would expect from the internals within, switching between apps and playing hardcore games was a breeze on the 6Z, and the clean UI also makes for a stutter-free experience. Playing PUBG on smooth and extreme settings clocked a constant frame rate of 60 FPS, and the large battery means that you play on and on without any interruption, as the device doesn't seem to get all that hot either. Asus has been pretty regular, albeit slow, with updates on the 5Z, listening to user feedback and implementing it, so software support shouldn't be a matter of concern. The 5Z, which was launched last year, is also a part of the Android Q beta program, so it's safe to say that the 6Z will also receive equally good treatment in terms of support. We mentioned initially that the phone does feel rather hefty, and that's due to the 5000 mAh battery inside, and frankly, it's well worth the extra few grams. On each day of testing, it was practically impossible to kill this thing in a single day despite heavy usage, so if you use your phone moderately, you can easily get through 2 days of usage, and if you play a lot of games, a full day of usage is still easily achievable. There's a quick charge 3 adapter within the box, which takes a little less than 2 hours for a full charge, which is understandable given the huge capacity. Undoubtedly one of the best phones out there for battery. Well, looks like the 6Z is almost a perfect smartphone, right? Yeah, almost is the key here. There's no IP rating, so don't take it near the pool or in the rain. There's no wireless charging, and the flipping camera mechanism isn't the most reliable and acts iffy at times. However, if these shortcomings don't seem major to you, the Asus 6Z is shaping out to be a great option if, and a big if, Asus managed to price it right. At the time of shooting this video, we are not aware of the exact pricing, but the 6Z is expected to launch in the Indian market under the Rs 35,000 mark. The OnePlus 7 retails for Rs 32,999 and does almost everything that the 6Z does, except for the flip-out camera of course, and the big battery, but the reliability of Oxygen OS and the brand's fan base are the biggest threats to what otherwise is a smartphone that does basically everything and does it well. Hope you liked our detailed review of the Asus 6Z, and if you think that there are some aspects we haven't covered or you wish to know more about the device, make sure to leave a comment and also hit the like button for some good karma. Until next time, may the tech be with you.